This is going to be the last video regarding tone, at least for now. Obviously, there are many things that I haven't discussed at all. For example, things like legato or attacks or evenness of sound. All of those things are very important once you have gotten the basics down, which is what I'm really trying to cover here. This video, however, is really about equipment. Now, for some reason, clarinet players love equipment. I think it's just sort of human nature, which is to say, no, I know what I'm doing. It's the equipment that's the problem, right? Like, I don't sound bad. I just need to buy a new mouthpiece. And for the most part, if that's what you believe, you're wrong. If you sound bad, it's because you're bad. Just be honest. But mouthpieces do make a difference. Different mouthpieces do different things. I just want to talk briefly about how mouthpieces work in a very overly simplified way, and also how to pair mouthpieces with reeds, because that's the most important thing. It's not like, there's this misconception that if you're the best clarinet player in the world, you play, strength 5 reeds, and if you suck, then you play 2.5s, right? That's just not true. Mouthpieces have to be matched with reeds. That's just how, it's just a matter of physics more than anything else. So mouthpieces can be categorized in basically 3 categories. You have closed mouthpieces, medium mouthpieces, and open mouthpieces. If you look at Vandoren's website or any other manufacturer's website, they will tell you how many millimeters the opening is. So a closed mouthpiece is basically right at 100 or less. A medium mouthpiece would be sort of in the 120s, and then an open mouthpiece is really anything above, I would say, 130. Vandoren makes one that's at 170, which is kind of, I don't really know what to do with that. Now, there is a tendency for classical players to play closer facings, closed mouthpieces. The reason why is because closed mouthpieces generally give you a very focused sound, but it's a smaller sound. It's something that's more refined and less sort of flexible. The more open you get, the more body of sound you get, but also the more flexibility you get. It's why a lot of jazz players tend to prefer open mouthpieces with really soft reeds, because they can, bend and do everything they need to do for jazz playing. Okay, closed mouthpieces are actually mouthpieces that have lower resistance built into them. Okay, open mouthpieces are mouthpieces that have higher resistance built into them. So if you know this, then it would make total sense to find, for example, a closed mouthpiece, which is low resistance, with a high resistance reed, right? You have to pair those two together to find a good balance. Again, this is not a question of how good you are or any of that. For example, if you play a Vandoren M13 lyre and you're using a size 3 reed, you're going to sound bad. I'm going to sound bad. Most people will sound bad on that setup because it doesn't make any sense. If you don't believe me, I'll leave a link in the description to Vandoren's mouthpiece chart, which they tell you here are the numbers for this mouthpiece, and here are the strengths we recommend for them. If you want to go against all of that, please be my guest. But you don't have a right to complain about your problems if you're playing a setup that makes no sense. Having said all of that, mouthpieces are highly individual, right? Like, I'm 6 foot tall, I'm a guy. What works for me probably won't work for like a 5'4" woman. My jaw size is different, my air capacity is different. All of that is subject to individual preference. Having said that, it's also compounded by the fact that, for example, if you like Vandoren mouthpieces, which many people do, if I have, for example, the mouthpiece I play is sort of like an M15 style mouthpiece. It's the mouthpiece that I prefer both tonally and also and in terms of comfortability. But if I have 100 M15 mouthpieces in front of me, I have 100 different mouthpieces in front of me. It's not like manufacturers have been able to standardize mouthpieces in any meaningful way. Any professional knows that if you go order mouthpieces from Vandoren, you usually order at least 6. Sometimes you send them all back, right? Because sometimes they're all just duds. But if you do find a good Vandoren mouthpiece, they're actually really worth playing. It's just you have to sort through all of them. Yeah, so that's mouthpieces. Ligatures make a difference. Barrels make a difference. The actual clarinet makes a difference. But the most important thing is the balance between the reed and the mouthpiece.